I can say confidently in all agricultural commodities I trade, Egusi storage has never resulted in a loss for me. The best case is when I bought many bags of Egusi some years ago for 13,000 naira. We sold that same Egusi for 100,000 to 110,000 naira. I have a very big warehouse. I actually made my warehouse available to our community members. We stored over 2,000 bags of Egusi in my warehouse last year. Some of them bought 100 bags, some bought 200 bags. We really did a lot of Egusi business and we did not record one loss. They all made money. Every 3 to 5 years, something incredible happens where suddenly the price just skyrockets. And if you already bought, you are in line to take crazy profits. And that's where we're coming to. The main thing I want to do is to help you understand how the business of Egusi in Nigeria actually works, how to reduce some of the risk, and how you may be able to start at your own level, whether starting small time, big time, no matter the kind of finance you have, there is always a chance for you to partake in the Egusi business. Personally, I'm not here to promise anybody that you will double your money if you go into a Egusi business. But the reason I promote Egusi storage business a lot, if you watched all my videos, it is because it has never failed me in almost 15 years of my trading Egusi. Worst case I've had is that I get a tiny little something as profit on top of my initial capital. While the best case is when I bought many bags of Egusi some years ago in August for 13,000 naira. Then it was really cheap. And just 6 months down the line in January, we sold that same Egusi for 100,000 to 110,000 naira per the same type of bag. So I can say confidently in all agricultural commodities I trade, Egusi storage has never resulted in a loss for me. This is the secret of agricultural commodities trading, because every time you remain consistent in the business, you might make manageable profits, but every 3 to 5 years, something incredible happens. It has happened in sesame seeds, in cashew nuts, in ginger, where suddenly the price just skyrockets. And if you are in the game, already bought goods, then you are in line to take crazy profits. Now, my preference is that after listening to me today, you should be able to go out, investigate the market, and where possible, do the business yourself. It is a very low stress way of trying agricultural commodities, especially for people who are trying to begin agriculture business completely at the very early level. You can start in your local markets. You can start with 2 bags, 3 bags. There are people I know in the market who started with 1 bag, 2 bags. Today they have warehouses. You may work with somebody you know in the producing area, but whatever you do, you should understand what is happening, not just hand over your money blindly. So what I'm doing here is actually giving you the guidelines that sustain me in the business, because the way I give information about this business to you is the way I was also given this information. Maybe if you've watched my videos, you will realize that I have 2 main mentors. One of them is the ex-minister for defense. He actually introduced me into the agriculture business. Then the second one, he's a billionaire as well. Very young guy, he's probably under 50s. His name is Alaji Izwa. He used to rent his warehouse to me when I started in my early years, and he showed me all the tricks. And then I asked him, why are you showing me these things? Because people are asking me that question as well. Why are you telling all the secrets of your business? I'll give you the answer he gave to me. He told me that the sky is wide enough for all the birds to fly. So, and so this is the reason to answer the question of people who are wondering why give information so freely. I'm a very pan-African and pan-Nigerian person that believes in the opportunities we have in Nigeria, and many people don't see these opportunities. So some of us that have seen some kind of what people might refer to as weird opportunities, we like to bring it to the knowledge of others that there are really many opportunities that we can harness and actually make a decent living out of. So now getting back into the topic, I have done this Egusi storage for many years, and I still believe that the opportunities are good. Some seasons might be very good, like I said. Some will be average. But last season, for example, the profits were modest, acceptable, but everybody got something on top of his Egusi stored if you bought at the right season. It was not one of those seasons where the price just flew up and everybody started dancing. So my aim tonight is to give you balanced hope. I do not want you to hear I don't want you to hear only the attractive part and ignore the risk. I have been involved in agricultural commodities buying, storage, and trading for more than 15 years, like I earlier mentioned. I've handled egusi, sesame, cashew, and other many products. The experience is the same. Build relationships, maintain infrastructure, have good connection. So if you are watching me today and you can only afford one or two bags, 100 bags or more, there's nothing wrong with that. Just take the first step and visit the major egusi markets in Nasarawa. I will tell you my location. I operate from Nasarawa Toto, where you have the Federal Polytechnic. We've always opened our arms to people who want to understand the business. We are not a school, but we kind of operate like a school where we show people around, people who are curious. They come to our warehouse, they look at what we do. We even get somebody to take them to the market so they can start their own. And we can confidently say that through us, lots of people have ventured into agriculture business. Egusi business they started with, and now they are trading so many other commodities. We also have a WhatsApp platform that is very useful for people who we have actually supported in terms of providing the right information, giving them the right advice, and helping them to make their way into the agricultural commodity business. So now, the some people are asking, how much do you need to start? It depends on your pocket and your risk appetite. Of course, if you have a large risk appetite, and you have done your due diligence. For the first time, usually I don't advise people to go with everything you have, but it depends on people. Some people just don't want to play, but some people want to test the waters. But if you have done your comprehensive due diligence and the people you are going to work with, then you can go with whatever money you have. But if you are not sure that your due diligence is strong enough, I would recommend that you go in with money that you can afford to lose, because this business is really good. But the problem in the business is, like, to me, like almost any business in Nigeria, are the human beings involved in that business. Now, we will get to that later. I'm going to talk about the quality of the egusi, how to buy, and when to sell, right time, how to monitor prices as well. The business is not difficult to understand. During the harvest period, more egusi comes to the market. Farmers, village traders, they bring all their products because supply is high. Prices get competitive and they become low because these farmers, they survive on this. They've planted, they've harvested. So what happens? The price goes down when there's a lot in the market. Then you buy at that point when the price is low and store the product properly and sell later when the amount available in the market has reduced, which is usually in the season of January to March, sometimes to May. Now, the harvest season starts in late July, early August to mid September. I usually recommend buying around, say, first week of August. Some depending on how the season is going. Sometimes you must be aware that if you rush into the market to buy products when the first goods just come out, you are at risk of buying a goosey that has a lot of moisture and wet. And when you buy a goosey like that, it's not going to last. It's going to get spoiled in storage because now we're thinking of storing the goods for up to 6 months and beyond. The basic idea of the egusi business is you buy at harvest when the price is low and you keep it until the demand or the supply in the market has reduced and you sell. Now, the difference between who makes money and somebody who loses money in this simple business is in the details. And that's where we're coming to. What price did you buy? Very important, especially for those relying on friends and family to help them. What kind of bag did you buy? How did the bags weigh? The interesting thing is that Egusi bags are not weighed. They are only hand weighed or eye weighed, in the sense that you have to either use your eyes to estimate how well loaded it is or full, or try to physically lift it up and understand the weight. Another factor is, where did you store the Egusi? Who was controlling the store? And what additional charges did you pay? And when it is the time to sell, did you actually know the market price? These are the things that matters. One mistake people make is to hear only the price per bag. Somebody may tell you that Egusi is 150,000 naira per bag, and immediately you start calculating. But the first question should be, what bag? Because in the markets we operate, especially around Nasarawa, you hear about different bag sizes. You may hear traders talking about smaller bag sizes, usually 29, 30, 31 size bags. Then you also have the bigger bags, normally size 34 and 35. Most times, the egusi coming from the villages arrive in those smaller bags. When it gets to the main markets, the traders may transfer them into big bags. They go through a process through, they call them shaking, where they bring the bags from the farm, small bags. People buy that too. I buy that as well, but depends on your personal preference. Then they load them into the bigger bags and they push them so much inside. They call it shaking. Those ones usually weigh more and they're usually more expensive. So it's buyer and seller preference. Um, there's no strong rule that the smaller bags or the bigger bags one is better. I used to think one of them was better, but I've been trading both and I've come to realize that they are actually the same. Now, uh, if you have watched them, that's why I encourage people to go to the markets, because there is something about actually seeing a business being done and being told about a business. If you have seen a business being done, somehow I can say 30% you have understood the business more than what anybody would teach you. So that's why I always give out the location. And I have workers, even when I'm not there, they will show you around, then you can go do your own thing. As long as there are goods in the market, there will be buyers. Your buying will not stop my buying. My buying will not stop yours. But at the end of the day, we give this information to also support fellow Nigerians who can find other. And I'll tell you something. In places like Nasarawa, there are people who have no idea what government work is. They survive purely on agriculture business, and they are making good money and living well, buying bikes, building houses, marrying wives. Some even marry two, three wives with this same business. So now, naturally, of course, the larger bags cost more because they contain more product. So you cannot hear that one person is selling at 250,000, another person is selling at 170,000, and immediately conclude that the second person is expensive. They may not be selling the same bag size. The quality may also be different. The weight may be different. The price may include charges while the other one does not. Sometimes the smaller bags may give you better margin, like I earlier mentioned, and sometimes the bigger bag might make more sense for transport, storage, and resale. So don't just say this bag is bigger, therefore it must be better. Always calculate. And even if two bags are both described as size 35, do not assume they contain the exact same quantity. One may be more tightly packed than the other. One may also be heavier because the egusi still contains water and moisture. Then this is not necessarily an advantage. You may think you are receiving more product when part of that extra weight is just water, and water is not the business you came to buy. Now, this brings me to the issue of quality. When you are expecting your egusi, do not just look at the top of the bag. The top of the bag can be very beautiful. Some sellers know how to arrange the top layer very well. You will look at it and think the whole bag is ready for export. Meanwhile, the middle of the bag may be telling a completely different story. The proper way is to take samples from at least three different points of the bag. You start from the top. There is a device, they call it, it's like a knife, but it's in a rounded shape. Uh, I can ask my assistants to send the pictures on WhatsApp. By the way, we have a very good WhatsApp community. I don't know if I said that earlier. Two communities because it gets full very quickly, where agriculture business minded people have been coming together and doing business. People are also learning. People are making partnerships. People are also transacting, and we are supporting them in the way that, for example, somebody in Kano wants to sell goods to somebody in Lagos and there is no trust. So we act as a kind of bridge where, by agreement, they tell us, okay, Mr. Bash, we know you. Keep that money for us until the good arrives. So we come in the middle and we support them. We've done this a lot for so many people as well, and they're happy. So these kind of groups, I would encourage, especially beginners, to try to join them. Nothing is paid, so feel very free to be part of the group, and you can learn. You can ask questions. People will talk to you. People are doing so many businesses, yam business, palm oil. Even in that group, I found somebody whose business was packaging palm oil into sachets, and he has workers, almost 20 workers. So anyway, that's on the side. Now, talking about scooping of the bag to check the quality, you start from the top. You scoop it, feel it in your palm. If it's wet, then it's bad. Most times at the top will be always very dry because that's what they want to show off. Then you now scoop from the middle. It doesn't matter. They call it the chook. They call it choking. They dip the device through the middle and scoop out a goosey. So you feel it in your arms, in your hands, whether it's dry or wet, then whether it's clean as well. So, I mean, common sense will make you understand whether this is good egusi or not. And then you also go to the bottom layer and you also extract egusi from the bottom of the bag to understand what the quality feels like. Now, you should also smell it because that is going bad will have a bad smell, damp, and it will feel wet. Sometimes also check for stones and sand because we're talking about farm work and villages. There are some unscrupulous people, but though it happens rarely, where they will put some stones and sand inside the middle of the bag just to make it feel heavy. Then you feel that you're buying something. So these are things you should be very careful about. Um, Now, the first bag, in case you are buying so many bags, the first bag they show you might be the best bag. Don't just sample only that bag. Sample all the, if you are buying 10 bags, then sample all 10 bags. If you are buying maybe 100 bags, then you don't want to sample 100 bags, but sample randomly so that you will know you cover majority of the bags and from all different angles, then you understand what you're buying. Now, if you buy a goosey that is already wet, storing it for several months will not improve it. Storage does not cure bad quality. It will make the problem more obvious and you might lose all those bags. Another area many people overlook is additional cost. Some people will tell you that I bought a goosey for 150,000 naira and sold it for 180,000, so I made 30,000. Now, that's not necessarily your profit. What about the transport? What about loading and offloading? What about the storage? What about agent if you're buying through somebody? What about replacing damaged bags if some bags get torn along the way? What about the market charges? In some markets, you might hear the mention of a term, uh, they call it alada in Nasarawa. This is, it depends on different markets. Some people will charge, this alada is charged according to, some markets might, I don't know why that price is there. Maybe it's for putting your goods down or for taking your goods out of the market. There is that charge. And you must always, it's not much, but it can contribute to whether you're making good profit or not. Because if you put all the bags together, you are going to pay a ladder for all those bags. It's called a ladder in Nasarawa. I don't know what it's called in other markets. Maybe it's market charge, maybe it's landing charge. I don't know. But not all markets charge it, by the way. So, and if you are buying the bags, you have to be sure who's paying that extra charge. Is it you paying it, or the price, the Alada price is already included in the purchasing price, because sometimes you might end up buying your bags and you want to pack them to go. At that point, they start counting bags and tell you that no, you have to pay a ladder. Meanwhile, that means the seller did not just tell you, or you were ignorant of what was happening. Now, what about the loading? Most of the trucks, they load in 30 bags. There are small trucks, they load them 30 bags, and they charge sometimes 2,000 or 1,500 per bag, transporting the bag from villages to. It depends. So if you own a truck, of course, better. Have any question? Feel free to ask questions. But last year, my most of the people in our platform, our WhatsApp platform, under their pressure, I had to accept to do work with them. I call it work with them, and we bought Egusi, which they stored. Some of them bought 100 bags, some bought 200 bags. They really did a lot of Egusi business, and we did not record one loss. They all made money. They all made profit from all their Egusi investments, even though it was the first season. I had never done it. I try to stay away. I prefer to just show you the way so that you can go do the business. Uh, and if you want to use my warehouse, I have a very big warehouse and secured as well. But we will talk about that. It depends on the demand. If there's the demand that, oh, we have to create a platform again, then we would consider that. But just try to be a member of our platform, of our WhatsApp community. The links to our WhatsApp group. We have a pricing platform, and all the platforms we have. Somebody is asking, which part of Nasarawa has the most neatest and cheapest price? Villages. Villages are the places that have the best egusi, because the more egusi comes into town, then I don't want to say the more civilization starts destroying the quality. Now, people who are too intelligent are more interested in making more money. So honesty comes down and they start trying to be funny about the quality. Uh, Location for market survey, please. Somebody is asking location for market survey. The location of our market is where you have the Nasarawa Federal Polytechnic. If you come there, my warehouse is just beside. There is a lithium mining company, a Chinese lithium mining company in Nasarawa. I have a very big warehouse just beside that Chinese lithium mining company. And I also have stores all over the markets as well, so that we are operating from the market direct to store. So we have a full system. So if you want to visit, you can visit, and my manager and my workers, they will always be very happy to show you around. Uh, is Nasarawa the state number one Egusi major market in Nigeria? Nasarawa is one of it. There is Egusi in Taraba, but the Egusi in Taraba is not as much as you have in Nasarawa. Nasarawa, I will tell you, supplies most of Nigerians' Egusi. The real profit is what remains after every cost has been removed. That's why I always encourage people to write down everything. Forget that you are doing, some people call it village business, local business. See, you must document things if you want to scale in this business. You must document things. Uh, do not rely on memory, because when money is involved, everybody's memory can become really creative. Now, many people ask whether they can store Egusi without owning a warehouse. Yes. When I started, I didn't have any single warehouse. You can. You are starting with a few bags or many bags. You can store them in any market store. And the business is so sweet that you don't need to move your bags from the market. But the catch there is that you go to the market, buy your bags, then you talk to one store owner that you want to keep the goods there. There is a price. I think normally between 2,000 to 5,000 per bag. They will store your egusi for you. And that's for the duration of 1 year. So you can sell whenever. So if you're not around, all you have to do is to call the person managing that store. Okay, sell two of my bags. What is the price? Now that's where the problem comes in. You have to do a lot of due diligence on whoever is managing the store you will keep your egusi. I did that at the beginning, and I worked with some good store owners. I also worked with some store owners who were just plain thieves. So when you store your egusi with some of them, the day they feel hungry or their wife is pregnant, they will sell two of your bags and solve their problems. So the problem is not mostly whether the egusi is doing well. The problem is the people you are leaving your goods with in the market. Are they trustworthy? And better still, if you have understood the market, then try to just rent a shop in the market and put somebody there. But if you don't want to go through all that process, talk to people, do a very critical due diligence on shops and store owners. Most times, store owners that are dubious, they know them in the market. So if you blend yourself in the market, very soon you will understand. People will start warning you, don't keep your goods there. That guy sells people's goods. Don't keep your goods there. In that way, you feel more secure. So to me, that is the biggest risk in this Egusi business. Who is keeping your goods? If you are living close to Nasarawa and you can monitor directly, of course, that is better because you can suddenly just appear, check your goods, or you padlock, you rent a store and you lock your goods up. Whenever you want to sell, you come, you like the price, you sell. And again, the shop you are going to keep your goods in the market. If you are using the market, you must make sure that the roof is good because there will be situations where rain falls and all the bags get wet. Sometimes the shop owner is not even around for 1 week. And when goods get wet for 1 week, they are all done, destroyed. So again, the credibility and the reliability of the owner of the shop you will keep your goods is paramount to ensuring that you have good quality egusi from when you bought until when you're going to sell. I experienced it when I started. There was a guy, I had to even arrest him. And, but you just want to try to avoid these kinds of people. That's why your due diligence is very, very important. Even sometimes brothers and sisters will steal your goods and they will just believe nothing would happen. So I believe um, in almost any business in Nigeria, the major risk is the same: human beings. If you can sort that human factor problem, then a Egusi business is, I will tell you, a very high chance. If it doesn't give you modest or massive profit, you will get your capital back. Most times, as far as I have been trading this business for more than 15 years, I haven't recorded a loss in a Egusi business. This is what I have always said. And that's why I promote it because somebody who is new to agriculture, you don't want to take him into a risky business like cashew nuts. If you look at my cashew nuts videos, cashew nuts can give you massive returns as well. The same way it can completely destroy you if you don't understand the technicalities of cashew nuts. But that's mostly cashew nuts for export. But cashew nuts for local sales is very, very highly rewarding. So there's a difference between what angle of the market you want to play at. Also, you should write down the number of bags and the date you bought them. Don't just assume that you've bought bags. Always take records. How much should one budget for a start? It depends on your pocket. Last year, in our platform, there were people who bought only one bag and they made money off that one bag as well. There were people who bought 300 bags. There were people who bought 50 bags. So there were people who, on their own, went into the market and bought 800 bags. So it's up to you. Whatever volume you want to play in. Egusi does not take up to 1 year before you can sell. Now, it depends on the season. Uh, this season we just finished was a bit unusual. We sold a bit late. We started selling from late February because the price was not appreciating the way we expected. So we even sold up to May. But in usual circumstances, you will start selling your Egusi from the middle of January after you bought in August and September. So that is the usual. I mean, when every season is not the same, you buy in August and we project to sell between middle of January and the end of March, latest. This is what we project. The reason is if you wait till April, now it becomes 50-50. The price goes up to a point. In April, planting season starts again. And when planting season starts, farmers who have their egusi stored for planting release them into the market to sell. After they've planted those they want to plant or they need workers, so they just need money. So egusi floods the market from storage. And when egusi floods the market in April, what happens? Price drops. So from the high prices you will see, or the modest high prices you see in late January, February, March, you might see it deep in April. On the other hand, depending on the risk takers, they will now wait for the second window, which is just before the harvest in late July. So they wait to sell May and June. Sometimes, because now it becomes like more of gambling when you keep your goods that long. We try not to keep our goods that long. We just try to sell in the window. Worst case this year, we ended up selling up to May because it was a very unusual season. So the risk is that in May, the price might suddenly spike, but again, it can as well come down. So we prefer to be in the safe window of January to the end of March, where we are, I would say, more than 90% guaranteed. I can't say 100% because we are not God. We'll say more than 90% guaranteed of making some small profit, if not massive profit, on top of the egusi we sold. And I'll tell you one thing, don't get in the business today and expect that tomorrow you are going to make 600% profit. No, you have to be present to do the business over and over again. Take it like a savings account you are running. And when the season for the massive profit is going to take place, you will already be there. That is how business works. Business rewards people who stay, not people who are one season businessmen. I have not seen this in Nasarawa where a truck comes to the market and loot store. I haven't seen it in Nasarawa. The only time they use trucks to steal goods, I don't want to mention the name of the company. It's a foreign company. And that foreign company, people believed that some of the staff were involved. And that happened while the truck was on transit. They loaded, it was sesame seed. Sesame seeds were processed, they loaded them, and some people made arrangements. We're all in Nasarawa, we know. Some people made arrangements, and while the truck was going to Kano or Lagos, they diverted it elsewhere. So it wasn't like they came with the truck with guns and started looting shops. No, I have never heard of that. You would understand one thing about Nasarawa. Nasarawa is very secured during commodity trading seasons because lots of money pour in. All the major food businesses are there. You have companies like Olam, Broad Grain. Olam is Indian, Broad Grain is Canadian. Uh, I think Hakan Agro, I'm sure they have subsidiaries there. Ella Project is very big. That's my mentor. He's also there. So all there are many, I can't even mention all of them. There are Chinese companies too. All these companies come together to provide security. And it's difficult to hear that somebody just comes into a store with guns and starts looting shops. I haven't seen it in Egusi or any product. The profit margin last year in percent, the profit margin varied because we sold at different prices. The price we sold, I'll tell you one interesting thing. Up to 2 weeks ago, if somebody had kept his Egusi from August until 2 weeks ago, if you bought your Egusi at 150,000 and you are going to sell it at 300,000, that is the kind of money you would have made if you had bought your Egusi at 150,000 last year and kept it up to 2 weeks ago. But now the question you will ask, how many people kept their goods up to 2 weeks ago? Because it's also risky. So people take their profits according to their strategy. So some take 10%, 20%, 30%. Then those, the few who maybe out of sheer luck still had goods until 3 weeks ago from the old stock, sold it double back. So that is how the business can go. What is the place of insurance? Because this is a business that involves a lot of funds. Yes, the place of insurance, you can insure your goods in warehouse, or if you are sending your goods on transit, you can take goods in transit insurance as well. So it depends on your risk appetite. So if you are going to invest a lot of money, of course, it's always good to consider insuring the goods wherever you're going to store them. But again, uh, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't insure my goods in my warehouse. The reason is that I control my warehouse. I have cameras. I have probably 15 cameras and two armed guards 24/7 around my warehouse. And it's hard. Maybe you can talk about fire or rain destroying the goods. But for stealing and all that, I can't really tell you. People who will steal your goods are the people who you keep to look after your goods. Last year, I actually made my warehouse available to our community members, and they stored over 2,000 bags of egusi in my warehouse last year. So yeah, we have a very big warehouse that can take a lot. We also have machineries that process. We have a state-of-the-art that processes sesame seed, even soya beans. Not processed in a way that it becomes end product. No, we clean, we remove all the shaft and all kinds of impurities to make it 99% clean. Our machines are primarily for our sesame business. How do you check for good egusi? Testing the dryness, water content. Yeah, just by hand. You scoop the bag. I mean, what you do to the bag might seem like you are destroying the bag of egusi, but that's what everybody does. I was surprised the first time I saw it. You just bring a knife and you pierce somebody else's bag. And something some other people do, they just go around piercing the bags and filling their own small jars with egusi. Yeah, you pierce them from different points of the bag, feel it in your hand. If it's dry, you will know. If it's wet, you will know. And if it's wet, then you just walk away. Any piece of advice for one who wants to start and never done such business? If you don't have a job doing right now and you are in close proximity to Nasarawa, I will tell you just visit Nasarawa and have a walk around the market. Look at what people are doing. My mentor, who I used to rent his warehouse, he's a billionaire today. He started with nothing in this business during his NYC. But I'll tell you, the biggest asset you have in agriculture commodities, if you are doing the business from the site, is your integrity and honesty. You know, a lot of people keep talking about capital, capital, capital. You don't need capital. You only need to prove yourself as somebody who delivers goods according to what is requested. Start with one bag. If you can afford only one bag, do your one bag, deliver to the market. Start having buyers. Buyers trust you, and buyers want guaranteed supply. That's what happens in agriculture commodity. Those buyers will be the one that will even recommend to you, instead of giving us only one bag, can you do 10? Because they need, for the same effort, if you can give them 10, profit is split. Maybe you make less margin, but your turnover is higher, and they get more volumes, and they benefit by getting a reduced price. It's a win-win for everybody. There are people who have started this business in Nasarawa like this, built houses, set up their own businesses, and they have many people working under them as well. But the first thing is actually to take that step to have a look. I took the step myself. I left Turkey, where I had a job as a business development executive for a very a multi-billion-dollar company. Went to Nasarawa after I had a conversation with Alhaji Badaru Abubakar in 2012. Abubakar was just a businessman before he became governor of Jigawa. We had a conversation in Istanbul. I was like, what can I sell? I'm saying this to you because this question you ask, how can somebody who has never done it start? I'm just giving you how I was in your position. So I spoke with him. What can I send to Nigeria to sell? He said, no, don't think about what you send to Nigeria. He said, think about what you can take out of Nigeria. And I said, like what? He started telling me about sesame seeds, cashew nuts, and all these things. Then I started researching, digging. Where can I get this? Where can I get? And I went into Nasarawa. I went into Nasarawa for sesame seed. I did the farming of sesame seed. I farmed two large portions of land, and I lost everything in that farm. Surprisingly, that was my first venture. It was like, welcome to business in Nigeria. I lost everything, but I didn't run away. I had to reset. I told myself, okay, I lost everything in this investment, but I see the opportunity. I see the market. I see the people. And most of the managers, like the Olam manager there, I sold my goods to him because I couldn't get up to a container full. He told me, he said, if I had known you before you came to do farming of sesame, I would have advised you against it. That farming of sesame, you rely on a lot of human labor. And that is where the problem is. Allow the locals who understand, they use family connection to do the labor. You can't do it. So you be in the middle doing the buying and selling. It was during that process I now saw Egusi. Then I started buying and selling Egusi. And Egusi just came like, okay, something if I'm bored, what do I do with this money? Let me just buy Egusi. I didn't realize that Egusi was making money until a while. I just stopped to think, this Egusi has not lost me money. Oh. What is going on? Then I started taking Egusi seriously. So you can start in the same way. You can do Egusi processing. There's a very good, even the machine for Egusi processing is not that expensive. Egusi pillar, they call it. For some reason, I've not been able to visit China for some time, but I have a lot of requests from members of our community about machineries they want to buy. Egusi processing is one of them. You would make money if you are in that industry. But join our community and you will get a lot of information. You can get in touch with me occasionally. The members get in touch, we talk. I even have a mentorship community where I mentor people about not just agriculture business. It could be a career, it could be a skill. So we just encourage people to do what would make them not rely on other people for survival. There's opportunity everywhere in Nigeria. Okay. Now, if you are dealing with hundreds of bags, don't squeeze everything into a small shop. Sometimes the number of bags you have might not fit in one shop, then split them because if you overload them, it's a problem. Your storage system should match the scale of business. Now, another big thing you should take note of is pricing. If you buy at the wrong price during selling, during the buy harvest time, you are already in loss. And why am I saying this? Because many people do this business by proxy. There are some people, maybe they have a brother or a friend in the locations, not even only about Egusi, it could be any product. I've had many people, even like maize. Somebody said he told his cousin to buy maize from him from a state, and the cousin told him that maize was, for example, price of maize was 10,000 in the market, but the guy is lying that price of maize is 15,000. Now he pays 15,000. That's what he's thinking. During the time of selling, the price of maize only rises from 10,000 to 15,000. Now you are thinking, oh, price did not rise. No, price went up, but your agent is who ripped you off. That's who made you to lose money. So, what have we done to solve this problem? I created a website or a platform which I call MrBashPrices.com. MrBashPrices.com will give you access to live price updates of most of the commodities because we have our contacts live in Kano and in Nasarawa. So we update the prices. So if you are there or you are not there, you are operating through somebody, you know what the price range will be. If Egusi is selling for 150 and somebody is telling you that it is 170, you will ask him, where did you get your price from? Because the price I'm seeing in Mr. Bash prices is 150. So why can't you buy my own for 150? I'm not saying that if we quote 150 on our platform, it means that all the market prices will be 150. Sometimes you might negotiate 145, 155, 160, but within that range. So you are more secured in doing business like that. So that when the price also goes up, when it's time to sell, you can follow up on that platform and understand how the price is going up or down. So that whoever is buying for you, or before maybe you are selling and buying by yourself, before you go back to sell your goods, you understand what the price is. So it becomes more difficult to play you out of the game. So check those links. All these links, they are all free, by the way. We just try to give them. In Nigeria, our businesses are very unstructured. So we make mistakes a lot. And that's where we try to fill in those gaps so that we are not operating blindly. We also have a website called farmtotrade.com where you can also market your products. Again, for free. It's operating like a normal marketplace, but specifically for agriculture products. We do mostly on peeled egusi, but if you want to go into peeled egusi, it's a very good business as well. It's a very good business, is what I can tell you. Okay, somebody asking, can I start with 1 or 2 bags? Of course, you can. And your first transaction is not only about profit, it's about learning the business. You will learn how the bags are described, how quality is checked, how transport works, and how buyers negotiate. Somebody asked me previously, what's the best month to buy? Best month to buy is from late July, depending on moisture and how it comes to the market. But we usually stop buying latest middle of September, in some cases towards the end of September, if the prices are still competitive. So if you have any questions, feel free, join our community. You will meet lots of people who are involved in agriculture business as well. How do I find buyers? You don't need to look for buyers. That's the good thing about this business. You buy in the same market. If you're storing in the shop there, they just pick it from the ground and put it in the shop. No transfer, nothing. The day you want to sell, you bring it again from the shop and put it in front of the shop. That's it. You sell. Complete. It's that simple. So you are not transporting it anywhere except your storage is away from the market. Then you transport it, or maybe you buy from the village and you bring it into the town, then you transport it to the town. But if you buy in the town market, Buy, store. Even in the villages, you can buy, store in the villages as well. What's the biggest mistake beginners make? Yeah, the biggest mistake is sending money before understanding the full process. You must understand the full process. Nobody can know how much will Egusi be in January. Nobody can know. It depends on the market. Which market is best for buyers? Any market in Nasarawa, actually. Nasarawa is just an Egusi hub. But where we operate is where you have the Federal Polytechnic. They call that area Nasarawa Total. How do you preserve for so long? We don't use any chemicals in preserving Egusi. The only reason way the Egusi will stay for a long time is if they are properly dried. If you buy Egusi that is well dried, they will stay very long and stored properly. Don't just put them directly on the ground. You place them on the platform and not too many stacked on top of each other. No. Now, do not finish this live session and immediately send money to somebody. Instead, contact or visit one agricultural market. Speak to at least 3 Egusi sellers. Ask about the smaller and the bigger bags. Ask about current prices. Check the weights. Check quality. Ask about these market fees like Alada I mentioned. All these things can save you money before you even buy. And write down and calculate everything, the real cost of one bag from buying to storage. This exercise alone will teach you more than simply listening to people just making rumors. Egusi business, storage business can be very profitable, but you must understand it and treat it like a respectable business, then you will gain from it. Will we be able to buy, store, and sell with you this season also? If so, when do we start making payments? Okay, you be in the community. We will communicate that information in the community, whether it's possible. I mean, whether we would accept that this year. We will let you know in the community. How much is Alada? It depends on the market. It's usually not much. It could be from anything 500 naira per bag to 2,000 bag. But it might seem harmless, but when you are buying a lot of bags, the money becomes really significant. So before you buy, always, not all markets will do that Alada. So before you buy, inquire about any other extra charges after you have paid. I mean, before you pay. Because after you pay, you don't want to hear that yes, you have to pay for this thing on the ground. People are doing the business from everywhere. We have seen people who do this business on their own in Nasarawa, who do business through friends and proxies successfully as well from places like Ghana. This season develops. I will continue sharing what we are seeing in Nasarawa and other important markets. You can also follow our agricultural commodities prices updates, like I mentioned earlier, on mrbashprices.com. Please share this live session with someone who is seriously interested in doing something in agriculture. It will help them. It's a very, very good way to start testing yourself in business. It doesn't matter how much they have. They could be graduates looking for jobs, they could be civil servants looking for side things to do, they could be people already doing business who want to explore. So share it with people who need it because the opportunities, what pains me about Nigeria is opportunities are everywhere, but we keep hearing people talking about lack of opportunities. They are everywhere in front of people, but we just don't see them. Thank you, everyone, for watching. If there's any other thing, let me know by email or in the community. If you would like to speak to me directly, my assistant, Oseni, will make dates and time available where we can speak about the topic you want, and we'll continue from there. You don't want beginners to get into business that they'll have a bad story in the beginning. No, when as a beginner, you start getting strong in the commodity, agriculture commodity business. Then you can start exploring other areas like pepper. Because by then, you would have understood how this business works. You would have understood from a strong point of having made profit, not from the point of maybe if pepper season goes bad, then you lose. But many seasons, pepper goes up. Some season it stays the same. But again, there are its own unique style you should use for the storage because pepper goes bad as well. Any village in Nasarawa, you will get good egusi. Thank you. That's it for now. Any further questions? Send email and we'll get to it from there. Okay. Goodbye, everyone.